Hey, what is going on, everyone? DimitriusMac here, and welcome to the Week 1 NFL Fantasy Recap, folks. Welcome back. It feels good to be back if you are a returning watcher to this. I do want to start off this series, or the beginning of the season to this series, by saying I know my 2017 draft looked a little bit wonky and people had some concerns, and I was actually explaining my reasoning behind it. I will admit that there is no definitive, actual background strong enough thing to really justify taking Andrew Luck in the first round. I do admit that, but Andrew Luck is kind of a personal thing for me, as I'm sure a lot of players are for you. But yes, that was probably a mistake. Other than that, I think the rest of my draft was fine, so I don't know what you guys are talking about, but we'll see. And actually, it might add to the skepticism when you guys get to look at the score this week, because all across the league, the score has been very low. And we are going to be changing up some things this year. I want to make the show shorter than last year. I want to get straight to the point on some things, and I also want to show highlights of players who I deem worthy of showing highlights as well. And I think that's going to be pretty awesome when I get to do that. So also, I don't have guests for this year's opener. I will try to have guests for next week's opener. You know how it is. In most weeks, I do have guests. But this week, me just off the eve of getting back from vacation, there's just been a lot of things that have been going on, and I didn't have time to organize any of that. Also, this show may turn out a bit different than the shows in the future, because like I said, I did want to show some highlights from players who I thought were awesome. But let's get right into this, folks. Let's start off with the recaps from week 1. All right, folks, here is the number 1 matchup that I care about, because it's my matchup, right? This is me versus our league commissioner, the season opener. Abysmal points across the board. We have a 60.82 to 76.04. The only difference between mine and his score is his score got him a win, and mine just looks terrible. He has a terrible score, but he has a win. And let's look at what just happened, just real quick here. Ben Roethlisberger, the only positive thing on my team. And like I said, I know that's going to add some skepticism to people who watch the draft. They're going to be like, oh, I told you so. I told you so that you were going to have a terrible team, that you're not going to do anything this season. Relax, folks. It's week 1. We had an abundance of problems. Of course, Scott Tolzien started for the Indianapolis Colts, which absolutely decimated any and all chances of anything for anybody on Indianapolis. Am I right? Jacoby Brissett is starting this week. So, if you have any faith in any of the players on the Indianapolis Colts and you want to give one last shot, I think this week is going to be a terrific week to do so. But we'll see how all that turns out. But other than that, I had nobody else. The second highest scoring person on my team was Kyle Rudolph, and that's because he had a touchdown. He is going to be the red zone target for the Minnesota Vikings. So I think that is somebody who you should target if he's still out there on your waivers. But looking at the other side, Matt Ryan had a better game than Ben Roethlisberger, but not by much. And nobody else really performed either. It was the defense and kicker that really put him over the edge. Panthers absolutely smothered the San Francisco 49ers, and Dan Bailey absolutely had a fantastic game, bringing in 13 points. So that's what pretty much put him over the edge. Over here, if I had Matt Stafford in, I probably still wouldn't have won. All right, I don't think there's anything that I really could have done. I could have changed, I guess. I guess I could have put Marvin Jones in, and LeGarrette Blount could have been in, but realistically, didn't really have anything for this week. Neither did he, and we're lucky that we didn't match up against our next 2 opponents, as you guys can see right here, which is Isaiah's team versus the Suge Knights. Just look at that. I'm so glad I didn't end up like that. Even though I lost, this is just something worrisome, because he scored 144 points to Isaiah's 69, and this is our league champ. Excuse me. So him jumping off to something like this is absolutely mind-boggling, because, my goodness, having someone like Kareem Hunt, or I'm saying Kareem Hunt, I'm sorry, Hunt, from Kansas City. I'm sorry if I butchered his name there. But he went absolutely off with 40 points, and we could take a look at some of his highlights right now. I mean, just absolutely running through everyone and everything. And it's crazy, because his very first carry, he fumbled. His very first carry in the NFL, he fumbled the ball away, and we're looking like, oh man, that sucks to be a rookie. But he bounced back in a strong way and ended up leading this Kansas City team to a victory over the defending Super Bowl champion at home on ring ceremony night. On the ring given night. Man, what a performance from Hunt right here. He may be the find of this year's fantasy. So to him, I'm giving him the fantasy love of the week. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this award yet, or even if I'm going to have a graphic or anything for it, but maybe. But man, Hunt from KC, you did your thing out there, and that was the primary reason why Isaiah really lost out here. So other than that, there was nothing that really stood out from anybody else or stood out to me. The Rams defense kind of stood out to me, but that was kind of just they were kind of playing Indianapolis without Andrew Luck. A lot of defenses are probably going to do that, unfortunately, until Andrew Luck gets back. And hell, maybe even when he gets back, we'll see how and what type of form he takes. But this score was an absolute blowout. So now we're on to the third matchup here, folks. We're on to the Murder Bonus versus the ESO Legends. These two are real friends in real life. Of course, we all are. But the Murder Bonus actually brought in ESO Legends last year, and it was a pretty good find. I like him, and I like his competitiveness. And this year, he's shooting to make the playoffs after just scraping by last year and missing it. And I think, honestly, this was a good matchup. But what really put him over the edge was Todd Gurley here. And we can roll some highlights of Todd Gurley from the first week here. Todd Gurley really just went out with a bang. I mean, he put it over. He got his touchdown, and he got 56 catching yards. And it was just very, very, very... It was what we wanted. It was from rookie year Todd Gurley, the person that we absolutely needed to see again and that we didn't see from last year. But if he's back in form from rookie year, at least the parts of the rookie year that he played when he wasn't injured, and that's a very good thing. Also, looking up, Allen Robinson getting injured is actually a huge loss to him, but he still managed to pull it out. And we could see here there was just some abysmal performances from his quarterback with the Murder Boners. Eli Manning getting 6.7 points. Horrible. Tyler Eifert getting not even a single point, getting 0.40, which is just almost unheard of. The Bengals offense is struggling right now, and they just played this past Thursday and they lost, and Andy Dalton still hasn't improved like that at all. So it's really strugglish right now for that Cincinnati offense. But obviously he had Mike Evans and Jameis Winston on a bye. That's a group, a duo that he is going to play quite a lot, I imagine. Carson Wentz played actually pretty well. And the Chiefs' defense was obviously obliterated, even though they got some sacks and things like that. It's just that was kind of a back and forth shoot 'em off game. With the bench for the ESO Legends, nothing really happened here except for the Stephon Diggs. I actually missed that. Stephon Diggs actually got 2 touchdowns for Minnesota, so he's looking like a find here. It's looking like ESO Legends is in tip-top shape. He's looking to really play and looking to really do well. Odell Beckham Jr. may suit up this week for week 2. We don't know, but he was on the bench last week. But yeah, ESO Legends came out with a victory here. Congratulations to him, beating your buddy who brought you into the league. I know you've been waiting to do that, so congratulations to you out there. Next, we have Supremacy versus the Kid Got Next. The Kid Got Next being our league champion from our very first year this league formed, which was actually not turned. This was before YouTube, so you guys didn't get to see any of that. This year, we have somebody new to the league, Supremacy, who I believe goes by the name of Sean. Welcome to the league if you are watching this. And also, welcome and congratulations on your very first victory here. He is replacing Force from last year, the guy that I brought in last year. You may have recognized him from week 4, I believe, of last year, the week 4 recap. And let's take a look at the scores here. So Tom Brady is somebody who put up 10 points. It's not something so little that you're going to see of. You're going to see a lot more Tom Brady up in the 20s. At least I hope so, and I assume so, rather than down in the 10. Because honestly, he's just that good. And as somebody who had him last year, I can say and speak for this that he's going to bounce back. And most of you don't need to even know that. You already know that that's going to happen. On the other end here, we have Derek Carr, who performed very well for the Kid Got Next. Antonio Brown performed very well. And I feel like Antonio Brown is one of the only receivers who can put up points like 18 points like that just off yardage. He just sees that much volume, and he's that good at getting open and catching the ball and double coverage and all that that this is something that you're going to expect, and this is something that you're going to see quite often into the season. Other than that, there was nobody else that really stuck out to me. So I think we can move on from this. This was another low-scoring affair, folks, with Supremacy getting this one. And moving on to the very last matchup, which is Never Bowing Down versus DeBallers. A very, very, very low-scoring affair here for DeBallers. I believe this is the league low at 57.62. And we can look at what happened here. Absolutely nothing happened here. Jordan Howard was his highest scoring person. He had 52 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown here. And you know what? It just didn't work out. Even with Andy Dalton getting -3 points and you still losing. And a big part of that was Mike Gillislee being on the bench for him this week. He obviously didn't take the chance to start him, but with New England, they have 3 running backs. They have running backs that are all going to probably touch the ball. The important thing is who's going to touch the ball on the goal line. As of week 1 and look like moving forward, it's looking like that's going to be Mike Gillislee. But we'll see how that thing trades. They have a carousel, I like to call in New England, where they just rotate and you never know what's going to happen. The only for sure thing that you know in New England that I would really bank on each and every week is Tom Brady. But that's just me. So we can look at this, and Tyreek Hill was on the bench, obviously, for Never Bowing Down here. And he had 130. He just had a crazy game. And Tyreek Hill may be the next superstar receiver, running back, wherever he ends up in this league, because that kid is very fast and he has a lot of potential. And if Alex Smith is performing the way he did last week all season, Tyreek Hill's gonna be it. Tyreek Hill's may be the MVP of fantasy for a lot of leagues, but we'll see. But yes, this one ended 80-57. You can see the scores here. Nothing very going on. Brandon Cooks did the most, I believe, for 3 catches. He got the targets, but he didn't get the touchdown. A lot of people were skeptical, is Brandon Cooks going to do anything? And I think he did fine for this week opener. It was a pretty tough matchup versus this Kansas City defense. But moving forward this week, I believe they play New Orleans. So it's going to be a very fun and interesting thing for anybody who has anybody in that matchup, whether it's the New Orleans side or it's the New England side, because everybody knows when you go to New Orleans, you put up a bunch of points. At least that was the way last year went. Could be different, but I highly doubt it. All right, folks, just like last year, we're not going to spend too much time. We're just going to go over some of these players, and I'm going to give a yay or a nay on who I think what players are going to be really well suited for this upcoming week and were really good pickups. Tariq Cohen, I think that's a very good pickup. This is somebody that I picked up, but unfortunately, he's going up against Tampa Bay this week. I don't think that's a good matchup for him or Jordan Howard, as a matter of fact. So I think it's good to pick him up this week, but not necessarily play him unless you have no other choice, or else the other matchups are just 10 times worse than that. Corey Davis is a nice pickup. J.J. Nelson could be a nice pickup. We'll see how Carson Palmer feels. That all depends on him. Jacksonville, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I don't think that they are going to repeat their performance of last week, because last week was a bit of interesting when they played Houston. This week, it's a bit different, and I don't think that's going to be a repeat. Kenny Golladay, we'll see about him, because we'll see how Matt Stafford plays. We'll see how he spreads the ball around. He had a fantastic week. I don't think he is going to actually break into any of the top spots. I think he's still at that 3rd spot for now, because he's got Marvin Jones and he's got Golden Tate ahead of him still. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. This is definitely somebody worth picking up, but I don't think it's worth absolutely just banking on your bucks on expecting him to be the player. Unfortunate for people who picked up Danny Amendola like our league champion did, because he is out. He's not playing. Nelson Aguilar, somebody I picked up. And I ended up, actually, if you look at the top of this list right here, ended up going for Alshon Jeffrey. I ended up dropping Mr. Aguilar, because Aguilar is going to be on the right side. They play Kansas City this week, and I think Marcus Peters plays the right side. Plus, Marcus Peters is probably going to be guarding a lot of Alshon Jeffrey. I do agree with that. But he's on the right side, so I don't think he's going to be covering the entire game. And Alshon Jeffrey does have a height advantage on him, so they may want to stick a bigger cornerback onto him, because Marcus Peters isn't exactly the biggest back. And Alshon Jeffrey actually kind of towers over him. So we'll see how that plays out. That's the reason I swapped that out. I don't think Nelson Aguilar is going to have a big impact. Hell, nobody may have a big impact. This could be a very bad and embarrassing game. But we'll see, because I believe they are playing at home. Other than that, folks, we have Allen Hurns, who was picked up because Allen Robinson was dropped or pretty much injured. So basically, he needs to be dropped because he's going to be out for a while. Terrence West, he is a good pickup by the fundraisers here, and I think that's a very good pickup because they do play the Browns. I had him last year versus the Browns, and he actually didn't perform all too well in that second game. I believe in the first game he performed well. The kicker for the Raiders, I think, is a fantastic pickup. I think also kind of stretch is because Cooper Kupp. We'll see how he performs here. And honestly, I don't know how everything is going to shape up with Cooper because Sammy Watkins is there as well, and I don't know how this offense is going to look. That's going to depend on Jared Goff. I'm not going to put my banks on anybody on that receiving core, but we'll see. Maybe he takes the strides that people expected him to have last year as that number 1 overall pick. We'll see. Other than that, on this list, I think the Baltimore Ravens, who I picked up, is really good because they're playing against the Browns, and I think the Browns are in for a rough one this week. Although Kaiser, or their quarterback now, I think he is going to be a lot better than the quarterbacks they've had in the past recent years. But I still don't think it's good enough to really crack this Baltimore's Ravens defense, which I think is going to be heavily underrated this year. I think they have the potential to be a top 5 rated defense in fantasy this year. Who knows? We'll see. But that is pretty much it for the fantasy waiver wires and free agent pickups. Now we can move on to the fun part, which is the predictions for week 2. Alrighty, folks. So now, like I said, here is the fun part. Although this year I think I'm going to do it a bit different. I think last year in some cases I went over predictions for all teams. This year I'm just going to focus on the people who are here and the matchups for people who are here. Therefore, guess if there are any. For this week, obviously, there are not. It's just going to be me. So we're going to be going over my matchup for this upcoming week and going over some of the predictions I think some players can have. So let's take a look at this matchup real quick. Ben Roethlisberger going against Minnesota at home. I think that's a terrific matchup. Looking at Dak Prescott at Denver, we'll see how he performs. He's playing at Denver. He is a very, very poised young man at that age in the NFL at quarterback position. So I think he'll be quite surprising to some people. And then we have these 2 rookie running backs who could be the best rookie running backs of this class. And that's obviously just off 1 week. But so far, they have just shown that they are absolute beasts. And Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. He has both of them alongside with an injured David Johnson. So imagine if David Johnson was still healthy. Never bowing down would have a powerhouse. Hopefully. We'll see. It could just be one game for one of these. I don't think the production for both of these guys is going to keep up the way it did throughout the entire season. I think just one of them is going to keep it up, and the other one is kind of going to maybe be mid-major. But we'll see. Also, he has Tyreek Hill. So we cannot underestimate Never Bowing Down. He has a great team here. He has good people on the bench as well. I think in Martavis Bryant and if Andy Dalton ever comes around, but we'll see. And we can take a little bit more look at my side. Kerwin Williams at Indianapolis, folks. We'll see. We'll see how much of the load he takes from David Johnson. I know Andre Ellington is going to be in the mix somewhere, but we'll see where. Carlos Hyde at Seattle. Some of you may be scratching your head. Why are you doing Carlos Hyde at Seattle? You know that's nothing. Take a look at the rest of my running backs besides Mr. Williams. We can look at We can look at LeGarrette Blount and Tariq Cohen and see those matchups at Kansas City and at Tampa Bay. I'm not willing to bank on that over the sheer volume that Carlos Hyde should get if they don't get blown out. And I hope because it's the division rival that they actually come and play. It's the beginning of the season. They're not all worn out. They're still trying to figure out a way to win. They're still trying to believe in themselves that they are a team that can win, that they're going to come out with something, okay? So hopefully they come out. So I just believe in that volume, that massive volume that Carlos Hyde should get if they don't get blown out again. I think that's going to perform better than LeGarrette Blount or Tariq Cohen just for this week, just matchup-wise. And like I said, some people still scratch their head or be like, I don't think that's a good call, but we'll see in the end. And then I have Kelvin Benjamin that's really going to just have to step up. We'll see how Jacoby Brissett does with T.Y. Hilton. He's got one more week, and if this thing doesn't turn out, then T.Y. is going to have to get benched until Andrew Luck comes back, and I think that's the case for the entire offense of the Indianapolis Colts if things don't work out with Jacoby, but we'll see. And I have Ravens defense versus Cleveland. I think that's going to be very, very important for me this week, and we'll see how things go. But overall, I'm projected to lose by 5 points here, it seems, or a little bit less than 5 points. But it's looking to be a close game. I'm not starting off well with A.J. Green, and he's got some heavy hitters with some pretty good matchups. So we'll see how things go. We will see how things go. But that, folks, is the end of this week's show. As usual, and as the per usual that I do on this show, I will end it off with this. What do you guys think is going to happen in this year's fantasy? Not only in this year's, but this week. Who do you think the breakout player is going to be? Do you think he got snagged up in the waiver wires that I mentioned earlier? How is your league faring compared to my league in scores? Is it just my league that is scoring so low, or is it actually a worldwide thing in this type of format in NFL.com fantasy? Because I think it was. I think everybody just performed just so low. It was week one. And I think there's a big bounce back coming for week 2. So stay tuned for that. So that is it, folks. Show premieres every Saturday. And there could be some weeks like there were last year where I don't simply have the time to do it one week. And if not, I will do 2 shows basically the following week, or combine them, talk about 2 weeks for one show. Hopefully that doesn't happen as often as it did last season, but we'll see. So that is it, folks. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. If you are new here and you think I deserve a subscriber after watching this, go ahead and click that subscriber button. I'll have a new show for you each and every week. And with that being said, folks, I will see you all in the next video. I hope you guys are ready for fantasy. Hope you guys are ready for your NFL team to do well this season. If you're rooting for a team that's not looking to do so well this year, hope you're doing at least well in fantasy if you play fantasy. So you can at least have some upside to this NFL season. With that being said, folks, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, I'm DimitriusMac, and I'm out. Peace.